Hey guys, this is Pharaoh 2091, and welcome back to Let's Play Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. Last time we left off, we made a very bold move. Phoenix is now formally accusing Prosecutor Godot as the murderer of Misty Faye. There seems to be quite a lot of information or evidence kind of pointing to that, but Maya is a little... Yeah, she's kind of headstrong on it and saying, no, it's not him. So, well, now we gotta hear her testimony about what else she has to say. So, here's her testimony about after the incident. Pearlie was also stuck in the inner temple side that night. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. He found Pearlie first and cheered her right up. Who is this Pearlie? Oh, that's my little cousin, Pearl Faye. So when did you hear about this? Oh, just a while ago, when I was in the medical office. I'm terribly sorry, but what you have heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. What? Come on! Pearlie would never tell a lie. She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath. Ha! The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness. Mr. Godot! Let's just move on to the cross-examination. The defense has no objections. This is highly unusual, but, well, Mr. Wright, let's get this cross-examination started. Huh. Phoenix is kind of looking all cocky there, but, Godot's like, Alright, well, yeah, there's a statement I wasn't really sure about here. They said that when Godot found Pearlie, you know, he found her first and cheered her right up. Wait a minute. Pearlie never said anything about that, did she? He cheered her up? That's what Pearlie said. She said he was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godot. And here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict. Wow, that's rude. Ha! Cut it out. You're making me blush. This guy's really beginning to get on my nerves. In more ways than one. The truth is, there aren't that many places to look at the inner temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with fine-tooth combs, so I decided to carry out an investigation in my own way. Godot style. I'm the same way. I like to hand down verdicts in my own way. Judge style. Maybe I should ask some questions. Phoenix style. God, I may be sarcastically agreeing to this. Pharaoh style. That was a very terrible joke. Let's see. What do we want to ask? Yeah, what's this investigation? I want to hear more about that. You said you conducted an investigation on your own. Did you find anything? It looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, Wright. After all, I didn't miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Well, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles. The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Misty Faye, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Western tastes? Could he find a stranger way to describe gravy? So, from there you headed for the prep room? Wait a sec. What did Godot just say now? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the inner temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elise Donim. Now, do you remember what he said? Now, let's see here. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time, okay? That's what Maya said. However, by presenting that last information, he was describing Misty Faye in her garb and saying how beautiful she was. But there's one huge problem with that. if he seriously got there after the whole thing occurred, and he got there as Pearl was there, and what he would see is this. The whole scroll covered in gravy. How would he know that Misty Faye was under there? How would he know how beautiful she was? That says something now, doesn't it, guys? Mr. Godot, the first time you crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the Inner Temple was long before the murder took place. Why do you say that? Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The Hanging Scroll in the Training Hall. Hanging Scroll? But Mr. Godot's right! That scroll shows a picture of my mother! And Maya, I know you know who it is, but here's something you didn't know. Not the burp, but by the time the bridge had been repaired, 2 days after murder, the Hanging Scroll in the Training Hall looked like this. What's that wonderfully delicious smell? The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy. Gravy? But why gravy, Nick? Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godot, if you really hadn't seen the Hanging Scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was Misty Faye. Wait a minute, Nick! Yes? Take another look at the Hanging Scroll. Look! At the top! There's a crest there! Ah, that. It's the mark of the Master, correct? Exactly! So if you know the meaning of the mark, then you can guess that it was a picture of Misty Faye on there. True, but Mr. Godot described what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by a hue and aroma of Western tastes. Oh! Yes, it's possible that he knew that what the crest meant. However, he couldn't have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing. Mr. Godot, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the Inner Temple long before the crime took place. Can I ask you just one little thing, Trite? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed. That's right! Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime scene. Of course Mr. Godot knew about the plan. Huh? What did you say? Is it really possible that another person knew of that plan? Yeah. I believe so. Why? Well, is it possible that someone else could have gotten to this letter before Pearl's? Very possible. This crime was exactly planned over a year ago. Morgan Fay authored a plan for her daughter's future, and these instructions were hidden somewhere in the Fay Manor for a year. However, by the time Little Pearls found these instructions, they had already been unsealed. Oh yeah, remember that's what Pearl said. Unsealed? Yes, the killer had read these instructions long before Pearls had ever found them. That's how he knew that the crime was to take place at Inner Temple. And you're saying this crafted killer is me? You bet I am. But you just said that the instructions were hidden. That's right! Mr. Godot couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden. If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out. Yes, and when was that? During a visit. A visit? Morgan Fay told her daughter Pearl about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden. Eavesdropping on a visit at the detention center! Yes, it could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Like, for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Godot. Oh. Seems like Mr. Godot's getting a little tense there. Order! 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 Mr. Godot! You're under fire again! This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you You were the only one that could have acquired this information before the murder. Humans are afraid of the dark, and yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness as coffee. Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean? It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped on a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid it in the inner temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all that just to protect this witness? That's right. If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her. I am what you see. I'm certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress. The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for a lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness's life, his behavior is still a little too unnatural. However, you heard it. You had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godot? An unshakable reason that you forced you to protect this witness at all costs. I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick? Maya, I guess you were doing your best to cover for Godot. For the same reason, huh? I wonder what they could be talking about. Okay, Trite, I'm all ears. Let's hear it. It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you. What's this? There's one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you and Maya Fey together inextricably. Can never say damn words right. You know how it seemed that Godot kind of had a whole entire grudge against us this whole entire game? And a little while back he brought up Mia. There's a very good reason why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Mia Fey's only sister. Mia Fey. You once worked alongside her. That was when you were a defense attorney. Wait a second here. Mr. Godot is a defense attorney? With your honor's piercing intellect, you must have figured it out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godot? His real name is Diego Armando. Isn't that right? The last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago. I'm pretty damn sure you guys knew that this was the case, especially at the end of Case 4. Diego Armando. That name rings a bell. It should, Your Honor. All of this is related to a single case. A case in which a convict named Terry Falls killed himself. Mia Fey's first time in court. The tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. She knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, a senior defense lawyer at the office where Mia worked. Remember, he was there for her. Actually, the first time he called her Mia instead of Kitten. See, and he was just very passionate about. Look, oh my God, look at that. I was moved by her. The way she put up all her faith in her clients. That pure, sweet heart of hers. That's why. I could never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Mia and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. Then one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial. We met in the courthouse cafeteria. Ah! I just remembered! 6 years ago, right here in this courthouse, you were poisoned! Even I didn't see it coming. Dahlia Hawthorne slipped some poison into my coffee. Some newspapers at the time called it a murder, but very little information about the case was released to the press. But you weren't dead at all! No official reports ever actually called it a murder. I was just in a deep, deep coma. I see. My body shut down, and my life became nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight, and all my hair turned white due to the damage it caused. That's terrible. Apparently it was a miracle I even regained consciousness. 5 years had passed since I drank that poison brew. Then one morning, my eyes flew open from the smell of a doctor's cup of coffee. 5 years? You were asleep for 5 years? And the worst possible news was waiting for me. Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I had already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I loved had been murdered, and the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death. The woman you loathed? The woman who had spiked my scolding hot coffee, Dahlia Hawthorne. Ha! Good old Mia. She didn't let me down. She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up. That's so sad. For someone like me, for someone who had slept away their best days, there's only 2 reasons left to live. And it was for those 2 reasons I decided to become a prosecutor. If I may ask, what were those 2 reasons to live? The first was you, Wright. Huh? Me? If I hadn't drank that stupid poison, Mia Fey would never have been died, much less the way she did. You were the only one who was there to protect her, but you let her die. It was all your fault. It wasn't like that. I wanted to see for myself what kind of a man you really were. And I love this theme going on. I don't think you ever hear it. I think this is the first time you've heard it so far. So that's why you became a prosecutor? Another reason for a living? She goes by the name of Mia Fey. Huh? You mean me? You were the only one I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia. 1 year ago, when the Crane Village incident was resolved, it was obvious that Morgan Fey was planning something. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. My role as a prosecutor put me in a perfect position to do something about her. That's how you overheard Pearl's visit with Morgan at the detention center. I knew that the time was drawing near. Since I knew that plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that, I could keep that girl from being caught up in it. That makes sense. If Pearl had known that the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, she never would have helped out. Finally, the day of my plan was drawing near. I contacted both of my accomplices. Accomplices? Iris of Hazakura Temple and Misty Fey. I especially needed the help of Iris. She was to take the fall in my backup plan in case we couldn't control Pearl Fey. But how did you contact my mother? She had been missing for almost 20 years. Officially, yes. What? What do you mean officially? You've heard about it, haven't you? About the strong ties between the main family and the government. Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. She said that the Master Crane had great authority. Even without her official position, Misty Face still wielded great influence. The police have been keeping an eye on her movements all this time. That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor. So my mother was cooperating with you? Don't ever forget, no matter how far away from you she was, she never stopped thinking about you. She was always... That's why I knew she would do anything to protect you. If you want to know how strong her resolve to protect you was, look at her staff. Her staff? The one with the sword in it? The day the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time in Hazakura Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. I realized it then, just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan's fate if necessary. Yes, even if it meant paying the ultimate price. Mother... That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan. You mean Pearls, don't you? We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne. Well, Pearl, what are you gonna do tonight? Remember, this is where, they wanted to get together, all that. We thought we could prevent her from playing her part in Morgan's plan, but she never showed up. She was worried and followed me to the inner temple. That was the thing we were most afraid of. And that's why Lucy Faye had to do the channeling herself. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne into her own body. What? What do you mean? She channeled the spirit first, and Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself. As Master of Curade, Misty Faye's power was supreme. So that's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne so that Pearl Faye wouldn't be able to. Oh! What? What? Is this true? My role in this plan was to make sure no one was going to hurt Maya Faye. That's why I hid myself in the inner temple, just in case you needed to be safe from Dahlia Hawthorne. Godot. Anyway, that's all I'm going to admit to. Trite. Huh? There's no doubt about it. You're a great defense lawyer. But you're going to have to do the rest yourself. The background leading up to this incident had been laid bare. There's just one question remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim? There are only two possible suspects right now. Maya Faye, and I'm sad to say, you, Mr. Godot. Well, Trite, if you're a real deal, you finish this thing once and for all. Show us beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can finish this on your own. No, Nick, please don't. Maya, I heard the whole thing from my sister in the medical office. That's why I have to protect Mr. Godot. I can't do it. I can't testify against him. After all, he's the man who put his life on the line to protect Mia. And me too. Maya, I know that. Nick. But even so, it doesn't absolve him of his crime. Please, Maya, testify. Miss Faye, your testimony, please. This is the final testimony. Don't bother trying to hide anything because I'll know. I want to hear the truth from your own lips. I understand. I'm sure you're right. I'm ready now, Nick. Alright, young lady. Tell us about the moments before you lost consciousness. What exactly happened at the time of the murder? And, like Phoenix said, this is the final testimony. And we're gonna save her for next time, guys. So, as usual, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for Let's Play Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. I'll see you guys later.